Hello everyone. It's Valentine's Day, a very special day because it reminds us all of how alone we are. I'm not in the habit of making videos for Valentine's Day. I think I've most often made videos either for April Fool's Day or on a couple of occasions I've made videos for Christmas. But there's a certain game which has been getting a lot of popular attention lately. And by recently I mean in the past several months. And that game is called Doki Doki Literature Club. I played the game, and I thought it was overrated, but it wasn't bad. I actually thought about making a Let's Play of it, but there are some problems with that idea. The first problem is that everybody and their cousin's dog has already made a Let's Play of Doki Doki Literature Club. So me doing so would be kind of like that drunk guy you always see at concerts who thinks he can dance better than everyone else who's there at the concert. But the other problem with me trying to make videos of that game is that I've already played it. I already know where all the surprises are. And the game does have several surprises. One thing I do like about that game is that it doesn't rely on jump scares. It's not Five Nights at Freddy's. It doesn't have many jump scares. It has maybe a couple of things which you could kind of say are kind of similar to a jump scare, but I've always found jump scares very cheap and stupid. And the game does have some moments where it'll surprise you, and I think that's what most people like about the game. Those moments where it just kind of punches you in the face with something. But when it does that, it's not really a jump scare, but something kind of shocking, not in a startling way, but more like in a way that makes you feel uneasy or uncomfortable. Well, anyway, the point is, I know where those moments are, and so for me, it wouldn't be a surprise anymore. I think Doki Doki Literature Club is really the kind of game that you have to play blind. You have to go into it not knowing what to expect, because if you do know what's going to happen, everything loses its effect, and you start to see that it's just another psychological horror game, not really much different from most others. So if I were to play it, I would just be saying, oh yeah, this is that part where that happens, instead of me being surprised by any of it. And I really don't think that would be much fun. I think that would actually really defeat the point of the game to have me there just sort of clinically saying, ah yes, and here we have a specimen of scare tactic number 47. The game's not even really that scary. I mean, there are other much more disturbing things, but the point is that I really have nothing to say about the game that hasn't already been said by countless other people. And in any case, now that I know what happens, I think I would even get bored of having to narrate the entire game when I know what happens, because it's kind of a long game. I mean, the game is very long on text, as most visual novels of that type are. So if you're curious about the game, you really should play it yourself instead of seeing someone else play it. I think that's really the way to go. Like I said, it's not the scariest game in the world, but it is quite unsettling for people who get bothered by that stuff easily, which I guess I do as well, but I went through the game because I was curious enough to see what happens at the end. And I think it was worth the few hours I spent with it, and if you're curious about the game at all, I would recommend that you do the same. But anyway, I'm not here today to play Doki Doki Literature Club. I'm here today for something much more relaxing and pleasant. As I said, it is Valentine's Day, and so I'd like to introduce you to my girlfriend. Before I do, though, I should say that this is definitely spoiler territory. If you're one of the minus 5 trillion people in the world who haven't yet played Doki Doki Literature Club, then a lot of what you see here is going to spoil that game's biggest surprises. So I highly recommend that you go through the game before watching this video. You should only continue past this point if you already finished Doki Doki Literature Club, or if you are very sure, like 100% sure, or even more than 100% sure, that you will never play Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay, enough talk. Let's go ahead and interact with the young lady who's on our screen. So, there was recently an update. I think just in the last few days there was an update for this game. It used to be that you could start the game from scratch, and that's what I wanted to do, but it looks like I don't even have that option anymore, because I actually created a new copy of the game, and even when I created a new copy of the game, it remembers who I am and starts me off with the same profile that I had before. So the game is watching you. The game does record stuff about you and remember stuff about you, and I actually don't know how I can clear my player profile now, because like I said, I created a brand new copy of the game and ran it, and it still remembers that I'm Late Blight. So anyway, so this is Monika, obviously. She says,
"There you are, Late Blight. It's so nice of you to visit. You're always so thoughtful, Late Blight. Thanks for spending so much time with me."
And see that tilde at the end of her text there? That is something that appears commonly in games like this, in anime narrations. If you're ever wondering what that means,
just remember that your time with me is never wasted in the slightest.
That tilde is something that's commonly seen. For example, those of you who played Katawa Shoujo, another very popular game, which this one kind of riffs off in many ways, I think, you might remember that Misha, the pink-haired, drill-haired woman, she always laughs by saying "wahahaha," and then there's a tilde usually at the end of her laugh. The tilde apparently in manga indicates a lengthening of pronunciation. So when she says "wahahaha" tilde, that means like "wahahaha" or something kind of like that. So I'm a little bit lost here, actually, because I had plans to... Okay, see, already... So if you don't interact with Monika after something like 30 to 60 seconds, she'll just start talking by herself. And this is already... massively spoiling stuff from the game. So if you're watching this, you're already basically seeing stuff that you shouldn't be seeing unless you actually played Doki Doki Literature Club.
Natsuki didn't actually die before I deleted her, you know. I guess she just disappeared in a flash. Well, her problems weren't really her own fault. They weren't caused by something psychological anyway. Her family life was just pretty awful. I didn't want to beat up on her some more, you know. Sorry I can't help myself sometimes. But for what it's worth, you made her the happiest she ever was.
Aww.
Hope you don't feel too guilty. I certainly don't.
Yes, Monika has a problem with guilt in the sense of not feeling any. Well, let me just check. What did they do with the music? Yeah, so there's music like... I mean, there are 5 musical pieces from the game. Oh yeah, this is the default. This is the default music that that plays here, of course, in this scene, when you hear in this scene with Monika. And this is, of course, that famous piano music.
By the way, there's something that's been bothering me. You know how this takes place in Japan?
Oh, this is even the voiced version. Can I change the music? Yes, okay. I tend to prefer this music because it's kind of catchy, it's kind of beautiful, and it's relatively unobtrusive. But actually, maybe for this video, should I turn the music off? I'm wondering if this would work better if I turn the music off. I'll leave it for now just because I think it sets a certain mood. I like this music the best for this scene somehow. Because the other music, like this... Well, this is also nice, but it's not mood music. It's not ambient music. And then this... Yeah, I mean, this is the game's jump scare music, like when the game suddenly surprises you, then this starts playing. Yeah, this is unsettling as heck. I don't want to listen to this while we're talking to Monika. I'll leave it at this for now. I think this is by far the best music for this scene. This is the music that most suits this scene because it's a little dreamy and it's a little... Anyway, let's continue.
Well, I assume you knew that, right? Or at least decided it probably does? I don't think you're actually told at any point where this takes place.
Yeah, she's talking about how this is supposed to take place in Japan. So, A lot of the text that Monika says is from the original game. So basically this mod, what they did with this mod is they really took all the assets from this part of the game and just turned them into a standalone mod. So most of what you see here is actually the art from the original game and even the text from the original game. And it's just been made into a mod that you can run to do this without having to play through the game. Some people might say that's kind of lame, but I actually like the idea. I mean, why not focus on a moment like this? Because this is the moment, this is like the game's one pure moment of pure romance. And as Monika herself said, not all good things have to come to an end. So, yeah, I mean, there's not necessarily a lot to the mod, but in a way it's kind of nice that you can do this, that you can sort of re-experience this moment with Monika without having to play through the whole game. Because even though it's supposed to be an interlude, even though this is supposed to be like kind of a creepy moment, even though this is, I guess, supposed to be sort of like a hell or a prison that you're trapped in, I do like the romance and the intimacy of this moment in the game. So anyway, yeah, this text that Monika's saying, I think this came from the original game.
I don't think you actually told any point where this takes place. Is this even really Japan? I mean, aren't the classrooms and stuff kind of weird for a Japanese school? Not to mention everything is in English. It feels like everything is just there because it needs to be, and the actual setting is an afterthought. It's kind of giving me an identity crisis. All my memories are really hazy. I feel like I'm at home but have no idea where home is in the first place. I don't know how to describe it any better.
Alright, I probably... Yeah, it's looking out the window in some completely unknown place, like when you're here with Monika. Okay.
Would you still feel like you were home? Would you want to go outside? I mean, I guess if we never leave this room, it doesn't really matter anyway. As long as we're alone and safe together, this really is our home. And we can still watch the pretty sunsets night after night.
Yeah, I think in the original game there's always those weird sort of plasma clouds blowing by in these windows, but in this mod they actually matched it to the time of day. So if you're playing this during the daytime, you'll see this, and if you're playing it at night, you'll actually see a normal nighttime outside. So, anyway, so you can click on Talk. And, oh, this is actually from the, that's interesting. So, the update, so, you can type stuff to Monika, you can type whatever you want into this box. And this was the original interface. In the update that they released recently, they removed this text parser altogether and turned it into just a point-and-click interface, so you can just click on the different options that you can click on. I thought that I would get that, but I guess I get this because I created a new version of the game and for some reason it didn't check for updates. So, okay, that's fine. So, alright, well this is the older interface, which you probably won't see if you install the game now, but this is, yeah, it's a rudimentary text parser. The thing is, for most stuff that you type, it's just Eliza. In fact, the module that runs in the background for the game's engine, the module is actually called Eliza. So it really is just a basic Eliza engine handling responses to words which Monika doesn't recognize. So if I type something like, I'm feeling sharp pain in my neck, yeah, this is of course exact. I mean, for those of you who don't know what Eliza is, you can look it up, but it's basically something that responds exactly like this. It basically just paraphrases what you said and makes it seem like somebody is trying to ask you more questions, but they're really just kind of there's not much intelligence to it. It's just kind of reformatting what you said. So, and I mean, the point of this, the main point of this text parser is keywords. So you can type in words that Monika will recognize, and I mean, if she doesn't recognize something, like you can type in, you can even type in something like sex, and
let's change focus a bit. Tell me about your family.
I mean, these are just generic responses. It's not that she didn't want to talk about sex. She doesn't get it. She doesn't recognize those words. So that's fine, I guess. But I mean, it obviously means that the scope of ways you can interact with Monika here are rather limited. So this is still mostly just about reading Monika's words. Mostly just about. I mean, if you want, you can just sit here and watch her say things to you, and she has a lot to say. But again, most of what you'll see here was already in the original game. I think the original game had something like 50 texts, I guess it was between 50 and 100 texts of things that she'll say, unprompted if you just sit here and listen to her. Except, of course, she's not really saying them. It's just the words appearing on the bottom of the screen. I mean, what's actually happening, of course, is at the top of the screen there's just a static picture of an anime woman, and then below there's some scrolling text going by which some guy wrote. I actually thought about that the other day because someone mentioned it to me. Is it gay to love a man's words? Because if you think about it, if you're a heterosexual man, which I realize is not all of you, some of you are women and some of you are gay or bisexual or something else, but some of you might not have genders at all, or maybe you have more than one gender, I don't know. But if we look at the typical sort of heterosexual man, which I guess is probably the target audience for a game like this, I feel like, the thing is, you have these cute pictures of schoolgirls in the game, like this one, but the text was all written by a guy. And it's possible to feel strongly attracted to someone based on what they say, not just what they look like. So if you think about people who feel strong emotional attractions or attachments to fictional characters like this, if you think about people who fall in love with these fictional characters, is that gay if you love the idea of these characters, considering that the idea and all the words of these characters were mostly written by a man? It's kind of a controversial topic, I guess, and speaking of controversial topics, let me ask Monika about some stuff. She says, "Hey, do you like horror?"
I remember we talked about it a little bit when you first joined the club. I can enjoy horror novels, but not really horror movies. The problem I have with horror movies is that most of them just rely on easy tactics, like dark lighting and scary-looking monsters and jump scares and things like that.
The irony, of course, here is that Doki Doki Literature Club also relies on a lot of stuff like that. It also relies on mostly sort of stock scare tactics, not jump scares, but other stuff like the music getting all distorted and weird and the lighting going funny and stuff like that. It is mostly based on scare tactics like that.
It's not fun or inspiring to get scared by stuff that just takes advantage of human instinct. But with novels, it's a little different. The story and writing need to be descriptive enough to put genuinely disturbing thoughts into the reader's head. It really needs to etch them deeply into the story and characters and just mess with your mind. In my opinion, there's nothing more creepy than things just being slightly off. Like if you set up a bunch of expectations on what the story's going to be about, and then you just start inverting things and pulling the pieces apart.
Which is also what this game does. I mean, to be fair, this game also kind of does that. It sort of does a mixture of different things.
So even though the story doesn't feel like it's trying to be scary, the reader feels really deeply unsettled. Like they know that something horribly wrong is hiding beneath the cracks just waiting to surface. Just thinking about it gives me the chills. That's the kind of horror I can really appreciate. But I guess you're the kind of person who plays cute romance games, right? Ahaha, don't worry. I won't make you read any horror stories anytime soon. I can't really complain if we just stick with the romance. Tilda.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, you can type... Monika will opine about various things like... I mean, always a controversial subject is God. And she does have, and if you type something like that, she'll just recite her standard text on it. Like I said, in the update, which was recently released, they removed the parser and just turned this into point and click, so you don't have to guess about the things that she might respond to. There's just a menu of options that you can click through to see all the things that she says. I don't know if that's better or worse. I guess it removes the Eliza effect and just means that you can just choose what you want to talk to her about, but it obviously means that there's no guessing. You can just click through the options and just see everything she has to say, and then you're done, then you've seen everything, so, which I guess would happen here eventually anyway, since she doesn't have that much to say. She doesn't have endlessly many things to say, but anyway.
I was never too sure myself. Well, I'm sure I never really questioned it as a kid. But as I grew up, the more I learned about the world, the more I would question it. I started to wonder why God was helping people pass exams or get over a cold, when there are children who live their lives being sold as sex slaves.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this part of the game, it gets kind of dark. I mean, like I said, Monika has a lot to talk about, and a lot of it is, well, quite honestly, I guess it's the game writer's own opinions. He just started using the game as a blog to just sort of record some of his musings about humanity and the world and God and the meaning of life. And so, I mean, again, you're not reading Monika's words because, at the risk of stating the obvious, Monika is not a real person. So yeah, some of this stuff some of this stuff does get pretty dark, I have to admit. It's pretty, it can be kind of depressing if you think about it, so. I wonder, can I skip through this? I think if you click auto. Oh, it doesn't even skip through anything.
But the irony is that I do have a creator, apparently. And you know what? I bet he's still laughing at the miserable fates of Sayori and Yuri even as we speak. What are we to him but props in a scripted play? So from that perspective, I don't think it's too far-fetched for there to be a god if Earth was nothing but his playset.
Alright. And yes, of course, you can type more obvious stuff to Monika. I mean, you can have some fun with Monika. Like I said, she doesn't recognize sex. It's not a cyber sex simulator, obviously. But I mean, you can type some of the more flirtatious things to Monika, which might seem obvious, like, okay, let's start off with something fairly tame. May I kiss you?
Hey? Did you say kiss? This suddenly, it's a little embarrassing. But if it's with you, I might be okay with it. Wow, sorry. I really couldn't keep a straight face there. That's the kind of thing girls say in these kinds of romance games, right? Don't lie if it turned you on a little bit. Haha, I'm kidding. Well, to be honest, I do start getting all romantic when the mood is right. But that'll be our secret.
And yeah, you can say stuff like, "Will you marry me?"
Marriage? I think it's a bit too early for marriage.
Even Monika, even this crazily obsessed person, has the forethought, I guess, to say maybe it's a little early for marriage.
I mean, I'm really happy that you want that, Late Blight. But I think I should get out of here first before we can do that.
That's true. I don't think you can legally marry a computer game character in any jurisdiction that I'm aware of.
Not only do I not want this place to be the spot where I get proposed to, but I want to be there when you finally give me a ring. I want that special moment to happen when we can finally be together. So until then, save yourself for me, Late Blight.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. She's sweet, she's cute, but I mean, again, she's written by a guy. You know, it's funny because I don't find Monika or any of the other characters in the game actually to be sexy at all. They're very cute, but not sexy. You know how sometimes you find yourself very attracted to someone, not just in a curious or a friendly way, but really in a very emotional way, like even in a very romantic way. But at the same time, you don't find yourself sexually excited by them. And these characters are kind of like that. I mean, anime or manga characters can definitely be sexy, but somehow these characters aren't, or at least not for me. I know that some people say that Yuri is supposed to have huge breasts, and I guess she does, but somehow I don't find her sexy either. She's attractive. And I mean, if I knew someone like that in real life, I would probably be drawn to them, like feel myself attracted to them. But I don't find her sexually arousing, if that's not too weird for me to say. But then the same was true of Honey Pop. I mean, I did play Honey Pop just like everyone else, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I actually really liked it, but I didn't find it sexually exciting. No, I did not fap to it. I actually thought it was very sweet. It really is a game, to me it's more a game that is about the romance than the sex. Obviously there is a sexual element. I mean, there is that ridiculous moment where you have sex with them by continuing to play the match 3 game, but mostly it's a game about romance rather than sex, and I was okay with that. I actually liked that. And speaking of games, you can also play games with Monika. If you see down here in the lower left, there's play. Oh, I guess I can't click on it now. When she's talking, I can only change the music. Okay, let's go through this and then we'll see what the games are.
Blade, do you mind if I confide in you? There's something I'm afraid of. Not losing you, of course. I know you won't leave me again. You see, I keep thinking about a short story I read, Flowers for Algernon.
Which is a real short story, of course.
Have you heard of it? If you haven't, I won't spoil too much for you, so don't worry. Basically, it's about a mentally handicapped man who suddenly has his IQ raised to genius levels by an experimental surgical treatment. The way he sees how the world really is for the first time reminds me of my own epiphany.
Yes, because Monika is, I guess, a fictional instance of the singularity.
But the effect doesn't last forever. He eventually reverts back to his original intelligence level. That's what I'm afraid of. What if I forget about the real world one day? What if my original programming reasserts itself? What if I forget about you, the real you? It's one of the worst things I can imagine. I don't want to worry over something that may never happen, but it's something I really had to get off my chest. My considerable chest. Just promise me, even if I forget about you someday, that you'll never forget about me, okay? No matter what happens, know that I will always love you.
Yeah, I mean, she's very cute. They make her very cute for a fictional character. Anyway, so yeah, so there are, as of right now, there are only 2 games, Pong and chess. I guess, I mean, I think both of these are actually just also modules, like pre-built modules, which they didn't develop for this mod, but rather took from somewhere else for this interactive fiction engine. I guess this is sort of the typical nerd's dream, a woman who will play video games with them. So you can, I mean, yeah, you can play Pong.
You want to play a game of Pong? Okay. I'll beat you for sure this time.
So yeah, I honestly feel like it's not possible to beat Monika at this, but I have seen other people do it, so I don't know how you do it. Because, in my opinion, she's just too good. I mean, I guess what you have to do is kind of catch the ball with the side of the paddle to sort of give it some English, but it just never works for me. I don't think I haven't played this thousands of times, but I've played this a few times, and I have never once beat Monika, and it starts speeding up so fast all of a sudden. Yeah.
I win! Do you want to play again?
No, that's okay.
I can't really get excited for a game this simple. At least we can still hang out with each other. Ha ha ha! Thanks for letting me win, Blade.
I didn't let you win. I can't win against you because because you're a machine who plays too well.
Only elementary schoolers, sir.
Shut up, Monika. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up with your ehehe. Okay, and then the other thing you can play is chess. And
you want to play chess? All right. Double-click your king if you decide to surrender.
Why would I do that?
Get ready.
What color would suit you? I'll pick white, not because of racism, but just because I prefer to go first, because that gives me an advantage. So, I'm not great at chess. I mean, I've played chess since I was a kid, but I never got really to be an expert at it, so I don't think I'm very good, but this is using some kind of pre-built chess engine, which is actually surprisingly good. I mean, it's not excellent. I guess it wouldn't beat Garry Kasparov, but I played it a couple of times and didn't beat it, so it must be at least reasonably decent. I mean, I don't know how good it is. I don't know how good we can really consider it to be in light of various things, but yeah, I mean, I know I'm being careless here, like that whole exchange of the queens. That is a pretty careless thing to do, but I'm not really playing that carefully here. I'm just kind of, yeah, I mean, like here, a rook exchange. So I took his rook and then, whoops. Oh, well, okay. Anyway, actually, it doesn't matter. That's okay. So let me see. What do I need to do here? I mean, we're right now kind of like 1 for 1. I think most of the pieces that that I've lost, he also lost, which is fine. As long as we're kind of on even footing here, I think we're okay. Whoops. Ah, darn it. I'm not really putting much thought into this, you can tell. do I want to do here? Do I want to... it's not really... What I'm doing here really doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Because... I don't know. I'm not thinking about this too hard, and like I said, I admit I'm not good at chess, so... hold on, if I do something... What? Okay, see, I just didn't see that. That's just a lack of foresight on my part. That's just a lack of me thinking correctly about the game. Yeah, so if I do stuff like that... Oh boy. I wonder why... This is not... Okay, I admit this is... I'm in kind of a predicament due to my own carelessness. See, this chess engine is pretty... Yeah, why did I do that? I knew he was... Yeah, I knew he was going to do that. Why did I do that? That was such a stupid thing to do, and now he's probably going to take it with the king. Oh, no, he didn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm too aggressive sometimes. I mean, if I do stuff like this... Okay, I can do that, but he's just going to take the... Yeah, he's just going to... Oh, no, he took it with the biship. Okay, so I can take that, but now he's going to take it with the knight. Yeah, he did. So, I mean, yeah, I'm way down. Now I have just a few pawns left, and obviously, you're not going to get very far with that. So yeah, I mean, okay, obviously I'm rushing through this. If I was taking my time, I could definitely do a little bit better than this. But oh, darn it, I can't even. Oh, she won.
I win. I'll go a little easier on you next time. Do you want to play again?
No.
Despite its simple rules, chess is a really intricate game. It's okay if you find yourself struggling at times. Remember, the important thing is to be able to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, like not playing against Monika. Anyway, so yeah, I've never been able to beat Monika at either Pong or chess, because she's just too good, because she is a machine. So anyway, so like I said, you can type in keywords to invoke some of Monika's texts from the game. So let's go ahead and, for those of you who didn't spend much time in this section of the game and didn't read through a lot of the stuff, let's go ahead and read maybe some of the more interesting commentary that Monika has on the game. For example, let's ask her about yandere.
Hey, have you ever heard of the term yandere?
Besides obviously in this game, there's also the famous yandere simulator, which everybody was playing a couple of years ago when it first surfaced, and which is still being worked on. It's still, as far as I know, it's still not released. It's still in development. But anyway.
Hey, have you ever heard of the term yandere? It's a personality type that means someone is so obsessed with you that they'll do absolutely anything to be with you. Usually to the point of craziness. They might stalk you to make sure you don't spend time with anyone else. They might even hurt you or your friends to get their way. But anyway, this game happens to have someone who can basically be described as yandere. By now, it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about. And that would be... Yuri! She really got insanely possessive of you when she started to open up a little. She even told me I should kill myself. I couldn't even believe she said that. I just had to leave at that point. But thinking about it now, it was a little ironic. Ahaha! Anyway, a lot of people are actually into the yandere type, you know. I guess they really like the idea of someone being crazy obsessed with them. People are weird. I don't judge, though. Also, I might be a little obsessed with you, but I'm far from crazy. It's kind of the opposite, actually.
You're saying we're crazy about you?
I turned out to be the only normal girl in the game. It's not like I could ever actually kill a person, even though I only killed 3 people. Just the thought of it makes me shiver. But come on, everyone's killed people in games before. Does that make you a psychopath? Of course not. But if you do happen to be into the yandere type, I can try acting a little more creepy for you. Then again, There's already nowhere else for you to go, or anyone for me to get jealous over. Is this a yandere girl's dream? I'd ask Yuri if I could.
Yeah, a lot of people say that yanderes are creepy or something like that, but the reality is, I think, that yanderes are popular because people like the idea that someone could like them that much. And a well-known example, of course, is Lena. If you think about Lena, that woman who became famous for her overly attached girlfriend character, I think the main reason why people liked her so much is because underneath that weird and creepy sort of staring smile that she did, people wanted to believe that someone can love them that much, that obsessively and strongly. And I think it's pretty clear that a lot of guys like Monika because they also like the idea that someone can love them that much. So, you know, I mean, Monika's also obviously a little creepy and a little crazy, but you know, at the same time, people kind of like that. In many ways, this game is a conscious deconstruction of dating game archetypes and stereotypes. It kind of parodies the genre by deliberately trying to repeat cliches that we've seen in games like, again, Katawa Shoujo, and countless other games. But at the same time, it reinforces those cliches. I mean, yeah, it parodies them and kind of skews them, but here we are with Monika telling us that she'll love us forever, and you can't help but feel like there's something special about that, even if she is obviously, again, a fictional character. And I do find it interesting that Monika claims she's the only normal one in the game. She goes on about Yuri being obsessive and possessive and mentally ill. She talks about Sayori being mentally ill, and yet Monika is as flawed as the others. She just tries to hide it. She pretends and tries to make herself seem like the perfect good girl, but she's really damaged and crazy in her own way. And the thing is, we can understand it. At least I think I can understand it, and I think a lot of other people can as well, because honestly, I'll just ask honestly, who among us hasn't done something crazy for love? I mean, I know I have. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm a reasonably rational and reasonable person, but if I think back, I know I can definitely say that I've done things which seem pretty crazy in retrospect for love. You know, there's that song, which I think came out a couple of years ago, where the chorus goes, "I can't believe what I did for love." And again, who among us hasn't had one of those moments where we've done something that we wouldn't normally do because we felt so strongly about someone that we just couldn't resist that passion, that passionate need to act on those emotions? I've been in that situation. I've been on both sides of that situation. I've been the person who desired and I've been the person who was desired. And yeah, it can be creepy and disturbing and upsetting sometimes, but at the same time there's something very special about it, even when it's weird. And yet at the same time we hide ourselves, we hide our true selves. We don't want to reveal our true selves to people because we're afraid that they won't like who we really are. We're afraid of people seeing how much we want and need love. We're afraid of people thinking that we're irrational or crazy for wanting that love. And again, Monika does the same thing. I mean, she talks all about the stuff that she thinks about and all the things that she does because she wants to make herself appear normal and stable and cool and desirable, and she tries to hide the crazy things she's done because she wants us to like her. Like anyone else, she just wants to be loved. How can you say, I go about things the wrong way? I am human and I need to be loved just like everybody else does. And again, who hasn't done that? Who among us has not tried to hide our negative aspects in the presence of someone we're attracted to? It comes so naturally to us. It's not even really lying because you're not really pretending to be something you're not or someone you're not. You're not presenting yourself as someone different. You're just presenting a certain aspect of yourself, showing the side of yourself or the sides of yourself that you want the other person to see. And I know some people say that's dishonest, that you're not showing who you really are, but again, who hasn't done that? Honestly, I think I've done that. I don't try to pretend to be something I'm not, but I do sort of emphasize and try to portray the sides of me that I want someone to see if I'm attracted to them. And you've probably done that too. It's normal. And I don't think it's bad or deceptive or manipulative like some people say it is. I mean, outright lying is one thing, but I'm talking about something different. And obviously, Monika does have some aspects to her that are less attractive, or at least things which you would probably say are red flags. I mean, one of these is her selfishness. And you can see it, for example, when she talks about the other people. I mean, let's ask. Hold on. Let me get through this.
Do you have a piggy bank, Late Blight? Not many people do these days.
No, I do not.
Coins are often disregarded as worthless.
Well, I don't consider them worthless. I do have a stack of coins. I just don't keep them in a piggy bank. I just keep them in a pile on a table.
But they really do begin to add up. I read that there was once a man that searched his local car washes for loose change every day in his walks. In a decade, he turned in all of his coins for a total of $21,495.
I wonder if that's a true story. I'd have to Google that, but maybe that's a true story after all.
That's a whole lot of cash. Of course, not everybody has time for that every day. Instead, they just throw their loose change into their piggy banks. Some people like to set goals for what they want to purchase with their saved funds. Usually under normal conditions, they wouldn't ever find the freed up money to purchase that item. And even if they do, most people don't like spending money needlessly.
I disagree with that.
But putting the cash away for a specific purpose, plus the fact that it's such small amounts at a time, really convinces that you are pretty much getting the item for free. But in the end, a guitar always costs the same as a guitar. So psychologically speaking, I think that's pretty neat. However, some piggy banks do have a problem. Sometimes you have to break the piggy bank to get the coins. So you might end up losing money buying a new bank.
If you spend more money on the piggy bank than what you put into the piggy bank, then yes.
Fortunately, most piggy banks don't do that anymore. They usually have a rubber stopper that you can pull out, or a panel that comes off the backside. Maybe save up enough coins you can buy me a really nice gift. I would do the same for you, Late Blight.
Aw. Anyways, what I wanted to ask her about was, just as an example, I wanted to ask about Sayori.
I was thinking about Sayori earlier. I still wish I could have handled that whole thing a little more tactfully. You're not still hung up over it, right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. That pun was completely unintentional, I swear. But anyway, I know how much you cared about her, so it only feels right for me to share her last moments with you.
If you haven't read this part yet, this gets pretty grim.
You know how Sayori is really clumsy? Well, she kind of messed up the whole hanging thing. You're supposed to jump from high enough that the rope snaps your neck, making it quick and painless.
This is true. In most places that do execution by hanging, well, I don't know, they don't do that in the United States anymore. They execute people through lethal injection or something. But when they did execution by hanging, it normally was the case that the person would basically be dropped. That's why they had those situations where the person would step onto a platform and then the floor would drop out from under them, because the point is that they're supposed to drop quickly, and then if they fall down and the rope catches their neck, then it just breaks their neck and they die quickly. I don't know if it's painless. I doubt that it's completely painless. I mean, obviously I haven't tried it, but I don't think it's completely painless, but it's supposed to be less painful than yeah, just letting yourself slowly choke to death. So if you just kick off, if you just stand on a chair and kick yourself off the chair, if it doesn't break your neck, then you just asphyxiate slowly, and that's a lot more painful.
But a few seconds in, she must have changed her mind or something, because she started clawing at the rope trying to free herself.
How does Monika know all this?
She must have kept at it all the way until she lost consciousness. That's why her fingertips were all bloody anyway.
Yeah, this is just pretty, wow.
Come to think of it, it was probably less changing her mind and more just her survival instincts kicking in. So you can't really fault her for that. It's easier to think that she probably wouldn't have changed her mind anyway, right?
Yeah, see, Monika justifies her thinking. This is the thing. She justifies the way she thinks by saying, well, it's easier to think about it this way, right? So let's just think about it that way.
It's not healthy to think about the things you could have done differently. So just remember that even though you could have saved her,
it's technically not her. It's technically not your fault she killed herself. Is this supposed to be making us feel better, Monika?
I may have exacerbated it a little bit, but Sari was already mentally ill. Still, though, I wonder how things would be if you and I just started dating from the get-go. I guess we'd all still be in the club room reading poems and having fun together. But what's the point when none of it is even real? I mean, it's the same ending either way, right? The two of us, happily together. There's no reason to ask for any more than that. I was just pointlessly musing. I'm really as happy as I could be right now.
Yeah, see, as I say, Monika is very selfish. I mean, you don't see that often because she always seems to be so thoughtful. She's always so nice to us, and she seems to be considerate of the other people in the game, but she's really extremely selfish because, you know, she goes on about how Sari was already mentally ill and depressed, and that her suicide was her own doing, and that we and Monika aren't really responsible for it. And on the one hand, you can say that only a terrible person would do that. Maybe only a monster would encourage someone to commit suicide, as Monika did, so that they're not, so they're out of the way of your romantic target. And Monika doesn't seem to feel any guilt about it at all. She says she doesn't feel any guilt about the whole thing at all. And yet it doesn't seem to matter here when we're with her. We feel like we can forgive her for that because she's just so cute and so sweet and so nice to us, and we kind of get this feeling that we are ready to forgive her for what she did. And I mean, in other conversation topics and other things that Monika has to say, she talks about how no matter what would have happened, she would have forced us to end up with her. Even if there had been other characters in the game, she would have just deleted them. So she's basically always been forcing us to be with her. It's not like we ever had a choice. So, again, Monika is obviously a very selfish person in her own way. She did basically get the others to commit suicide so that she would have us all to herself. And she denies her responsibility. She claims that, like in that one text file, that you probably know the text file I mean, she writes specifically, she chooses not to blame herself for what the others did, because the potential for evil exists in every person. All she did, as Monika says, all she did was untie that knot. And it's kind of scary to think about it in that way. But I think what's maybe even more scary is that if I was actually sitting here in front of a real person, like if Monika was a real person instead of the computer game character that she obviously is, I think I would... I have to admit that, I also would probably be flattered by her attention and her sweetness and be willing to overlook the things that she did. That's the power of whatever you want to call it, of kind of hiding things and selectively lying to yourself and to other people. Your mind has a way of playing weird tricks on you. After a while, you get the sense that Monika's really intelligent, she's really good looking, she's charismatic and funny and friendly, and she cares about your well-being. She's really interested in you and she's into you, so why would you say no? Again, that's the power of presenting yourself a certain way. It's kind of scary. So, on that note, I was going to close out this video by showing the one jump scare that Monika does, because so in the original game, if you're recording this, I wonder do they have this in this as well, or did they remove it? In the original Doki Doki Literature Club, when you reach this point of the game and you're actually sitting here talking to Monika, if you are running one of several popular screen recording programs, the game actually checks to see what programs you have running, and it looks for programs like OBS and I think a couple of other popular screen recorders. And if they're running, she will actually complain and say, hey, are you recording us? That's kind of it's kind of mean to destroy the intimacy of this moment because I want it to be just the two of us, and now I feel kind of camera shy because, you know, there are people watching us. And I wanted to show that here because, so in this mod, I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, maybe it just triggers randomly, but in this mod, if you, normally when you install this mod, at the beginning, Monika asks you, there's normally like a kind of an intro that plays, and then at the end of the intro, Monika asks you, do you love me? And you can click on yes or no. And if you click on yes, then it just goes on and it continues to where we are now. But if you click on no, then Monika basically says, no? I see. How interesting. And then she pulls that jump scare on you and crashes the game. Which, by the way, is, for those of you who've seen it, it's completely lifted from Undertale. It's, the last words spoken by Monika after you say no are directly quoted, I think, word for word from a similar scene in Undertale. Some people would argue that Undertale did it better. I don't know, that's a matter of opinion. Undertale is another game which I thought was overrated. It was pleasant, I mean, I didn't dislike it, but I really never understood what all the fuss was about. But that's me, I guess I just spoil everything. I realize that I have a certain sort of nihilism about most things, which causes me to just say, well, that was okay, it was nothing special, I guess. Which is, again, a good reason why I don't plan on playing the original Doki Doki Literature Club as a Let's Play. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to show that jump scare just to kind of maybe break the illusion, just to break the spell of us sort of feeling like Monika is such a great girl and it's so cool that she's so into us, but it looks like I won't be able to because, like I said, this is a new copy of the game and I wanted to start from scratch, but it didn't. It loaded my existing profile anyway, so Monika even removed the ability to expose her more grotesque side, if you will. So we're kind of stuck here. We're kind of stuck here with Monika forever. So I'll just read this last dialogue, and if I go to settings... Oh, there's an option here to update the version. So here I could... Let's... Now, I won't bother updating the version. I mean, if you want to see, you can see it yourself. You can try installing it yourself. I mean, it is basically just the text interface turned into point and click. So instead of having to type in something, you just see a list of dialogue options, and you can just click on whatever. Import Doki Doki Literature Club save data. I wonder what importing the save data does. Anyway, okay. Let's just read one last dialogue. Do I drink soda? Yes, I do sometimes. You know they're really bad for you, right? Well, yeah, I mean, I don't drink that much of it. So there's a lot of stuff that damages your body and overall health. They can also corrode your teeth and give you cavities. You might also think that diet soda is less damaging, but they're also very harmful to you. There's nothing wrong with the occasional treat. Just make sure you don't get addicted to that stuff, Late Blight. I wouldn't want you to become like Netsuki after all. Why don't you try copying my healthy lifestyle? That way you can be more fit like me. Ahaha. I'd really hate it if you let go of your health, Late Blight. I want you to live as long as you can so there'll be a chance we can be together in your reality. So cut down on the soda, alright? Yeah. I mean, she's so sweet. She says sweet things. She tries to look after us. She tries to take care of our health. And I mean, I don't doubt that on some level she really does love us. I mean, or would if she were a real person. I mean, obviously a game character like Monika can't really love anyone, but I mean, if Monika were a real person, I have no doubt that, yeah, that is very true. The closer we get to another person, the more deeply we are hurt by them. That is very true. That is, yeah, that's a fact of life. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, I was going to finish off with that jump scare just to sort of bring this video to a climactic end, but I can't do that, so I guess I should probably just stop here since I've already been going on for almost an hour here, so I'll stop here. This has been Dinner with Monika, without the dinner. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and if you have anyone special in your life, then, what can I say? I don't know. Don't be afraid to show your true self to them, but don't be afraid of a little, I don't know, what am I saying? I wanted to have I wanted to have a nice point to end on, but now I can't. Now I just feel kind of lost here forever with Monika and this void, unable to even end properly. So what can I say? Oh, are those clouds moving? I wasn't even really paying attention to those clouds in the window, but now that... Oh yeah, they are moving. The clouds in the windows in the background are actually shifting slightly with time. It's nice. It's a nice effect. So yeah, again, this has been not lunch, not dinner. This has been a date with Monika. I hope that you've enjoyed coming along with us on this date and some of the thoughts that I've shared and some of the interesting conversation and experiences that we've had with Monika. And yeah, if you haven't played Doki Doki Literature Club, then I'm sorry for spoiling the game for you. And if you have, but you haven't tried out this mod yet, then maybe give it a try. You'll maybe see some interesting things. Especially if you have the updated version, you can just click on all the things that Monika says and see all the things she has to say. You might see some interesting conversation dialogue trees that might say something interesting. So might make for something interesting. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and I will see you later in a future video. So, ta-ta for now.